Columbus, you just talked about tax reform and loopholes. Could you give us some examples of some loopholes that you really think are important for
Not today.
to close?
Not today. Do it on Monday. So I'm sorry about that. I mean, and, you know, again, it's, you know, you'd have to look at the comprehensive plan. Okay, we'll get to it on Monday, and we'll share with you exactly what our thinking is. This has been an ongoing process for more than a year. You know, the thing that I think is interesting and probably frustrating to many of you is I'm thrilled about it. Nothing leaks. I mean, nothing leaks. The only time it leaks is when we tell the legislature. Okay, that's the only time it leaks, and that's not always intentionally. Sometimes it's unintentional. But I'm really proud of the fact that we've been able to reveal these things, you know, on our terms. And I will tell you that the ability to keep the Turnpike project quiet until we could unveil it, I think allowed us to frame it in a way that Ohioans can understand rather than being confused. And that's very positive for public policy.
Noah Belinda with Hannah News Service. Governor, how are you going to deal with the fact that the courts have said that you now have hundreds of millions of dollars in CAT revenue on fuel sales and in BWC overpayments that now are potentially going to affect how you distribute money?
Tim Keene will discuss that and reveal that on Monday. I don't want to frustrate you. I'm just not going to give you the budget today. You know, I can't. We should have scheduled this meeting for Tuesday. We can come back, Jolie. We can come back, but I can't do it today. I apologize for it, because I know you want this stuff, and it sounds like I'm, you know, making it difficult for you. It's not my intention. Yes, Bill.
Bill Cohen from Ohio Public Radio. Up till now, we know that your proposal to lower the income tax has been linked with your proposal to raise the tax on oil and gas drillers. My question is just, in general, I mean, you hinted at it a little bit a few minutes ago, but have you found a way to lower the income tax and get the money to do that in other ways so it's no longer necessarily linked to raising the tax?
No, we absolutely need to raise the tax on severance. Come on, I was just in Davos, and I talked to people about what we're doing, and they say the companies ought to be thanking you for what you're doing here. This 20 cents on a 80 or 90 or $100 barrel of oil is not acceptable in our state to the taxpayers. Everybody in this state ought to be sharing in the bounty of oil and gas. And let me be clear that this oil and gas fracking discovery is really, really important, not just to Ohio, but to the whole country. But, you know, we would never raise this tax to the point where we would discourage the development of business. Up in North Dakota, where they got man camps, you know, I don't know if you've read these stories. They got shortages of everything. Their tax is 8 or 9%. We're proposing 4%. I mean, this is you know, this has really been, frankly, unbelievable that people have fought this. Now, I will tell you this. If you live in a district where there's been a lot of unemployment and a lot of poverty, and you see some things happening, I completely understand how you're nervous about anything that changes, but the only thing to fear is fear itself. And we're not going to, you can quote me on that. Anything I can say about that is, this is so reasonable, this is such a reasonable proposal that it's ultimately going to happen, as I've said. Look, I mean, I've been involved in politics where it took me years and years and years to win certain fights. The budget, the B-2 bomber, Pentagon reform, corporate welfare. I mean, it just takes time. You know, the Republicans were really happy in Washington when I said we ought to, you know, take away tax benefits from pharmaceutical firms that operate in Puerto Rico and get a big tax cut. I mean, it just takes time, Bill. You know, I'm not a magician here that can just do everything I want in a minute, but you push for things. And let me also suggest to you that in light of the fact that these companies know this is happening, we've seen $2 to $3 billion worth of investment in Ohio. And you know why? Because there's oil in the ground, and they want it. And either some of the of Ohioans are going to share in some of the bounty of what the Lord put in our ground, or they're taking this stuff back to Texas and Oklahoma and then we pay higher taxes. I don't like that. So we'll get through the concerns here and get this done.
Okay, but it is, just to be clear, is the severance tax
You'll
hike
see
your
on-
only source of money for the income tax cut, or have you found some other input there?
Monday.